Hi, thank you for joining us this Wednesday afternoon. I'm sorry I've missed a couple weeks, lots of travel and speaking, but I always love bringing you H3 TV on Wednesday afternoons, where I hope you join us for your lunch hour and we just get to say hello and we help move people from hopeless, unhealthy, and unhappy to hopeful, healthy, and happy. I'm Annie Meehan, a motivational speaker and award winning author. And every Wednesday, it is my joy to bring in guests to share their tips on how to either be hopeful, healthy, or happy. Today, I have with me Dr. Frazana, and please help me welcome her to the stage. Thank you, Doctor, for being with us. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what do you do?
My name is Farzana Chauhan, and I am a thought leader. I have arrived at this point through journey in architecture. So the real architecture, not the technology architecture, but building architecture. I worked on healthcare and hospitals and research lab buildings. And I also have been a leader in nonprofit. My focus is on optimizing human excellence. A lot of time we don't treat each other as human, and we have divided ourselves in the boxes. So my advocacy is about elevating the humanness which we all have in each one of us.
Beautiful. I love that. And I love that you chose the topic hope to speak on. I was writing to a client this morning saying, people are still feeling really overwhelmed and hopeless. And so we need as many ideas and thoughts on how to be hopeful as we can possibly gather personally and professionally. So, what are some of your keys, 3 to 5 of your keys? How do you stay hopeful? Because it can be challenging.
It is very challenging, and each one of our life has a lot of challenges before COVID also, and COVID just have highlighted those. How do I keep myself hopeful? I always keep a solution-oriented mindset. If one thing is not working, what is the second option possible? What is the third option possible? Because any moment which looks darkest and bleakest leads to a light, to a new way of doing things. So I will really suggest everyone with my own experience to see what else can you do if you think this is not working and this is the end of the road for that particular thing you are doing, whether it's study, whether it's work, whether it's personal life or professional life.
Excellent. I love that. I love solution oriented mindset. What a great way to say what we think about. If we get overwhelmed, if we give up, there's always a reason to give up. Life is hard. But if we have that solution minded mindset, I love that. Very beautiful. So, when things personally get challenging for you, when you're walking through something personally or professionally, what do you do to get back to hopeful?
So I'll share a story about myself.
Okay.
As I said, I am an architect. I worked in an architecture. Most of you know it's a historically male dominated profession. After certain years of experience, you want to get a bigger project. You want to lead the projects in the field. And those were the reckoning moments when I was not given bigger projects, when I was not given leadership roles because of what? I am a woman, correct?
Yeah.
But then I worked in North America, USA, and Canada. Now I am a double minority. Gender is first minority, ethnicity became the double minority, and I actually hold the title of triple minority. At that point, I realized that these challenges are not just alone individually for me. These are the challenges which each one of the women face, regardless of their color and background. So, what can I do? I cannot force someone to give me a big project if the mindset is not working. But I started researching and writing on the topic of leadership, what leadership in the business and professional world is. And after research, I actually wrote down and published a book called Leadership in Women, so which is an advocacy for women in STEM fields. The point of telling this real life journey is that when the challenges were pressing me down and making me feel like there is no hope, I carved my own path. And in that process, I am also helping my fellow professional business entrepreneurial women in the world, all around the world, not just one profession or one region.
That's right. I love that. Coming from the financial world myself, it was all men, it was
Mhm.
20 of us out of 440 on our floor, and it was challenging. And I just last week spoke to women engineers. I had an all day training with women, and it was just so awesome to watch the women help each other rather than a competition. We collaborate. And so you're using your wisdom, you're using your knowledge and your experience to help other women. So I love that. Um,
So I think collaboration and co-creation is the key to succeed in anything in life, and we have to keep that in mind, because that gives an idea that we have a support system, a network in place, and we can really raise each other by supporting each other rather than being in competition. And that
100%.
creates a lot more hope, Annie.
That's right. 100%. I love that. I always think like when people are like, who's your competition with? I'm like, nobody. They're like, what do you think you're the best? I said, no. What I think is that we shouldn't have a mindset of competition. We should think, how can I help you? And how can you help me? And we can all learn from each other, men, women, every different race, everything. So for me, I'm all about how can I collaborate? Who can I work with? How can I get better and help each other rise? So I love that. So do you think that we get to hope by choice or by chance or by circumstance? How do you get to hope? For those people that aren't feeling hopeful, what wisdom do you have for us?
So, okay, let me come around that answer in a minute. When we get in a situation, we feel isolated and we think it is just happening to me. There is nothing else possible. I already talked about the solution oriented mindset. The choice in that regard is for us to remember in those moments that we are capable of doing anything. We have that this brain over here, so let's look at what else can be done. So that is the part of the choice. Now, circumstances and chances, if we are able to rationalize our despair, our negative thoughts, and then start to look for who can give us that chance. And we should not always look for chance directly, but indirectly. So develop your network in that regard. And network just does not have to be in professional field or business field. It needs to be more holistic. And then circumstances, when you will make a choice of a positivity about yourself. Don't think that you are not capable of doing anything. That positivity will lead to chances and circumstances also. So to answer your question, it is a combination of everything, but it starts from us, from inside us.
Hmm, I like that. I like the whole holistic. You're saying it's all of us, right? And I love that. And you're also reminding us we're not alone. And I think that's what I always why we started H3 TV was I started feeling like people felt alone. Somebody reached out to me this week and they said, Annie, how are you happy? Like you've got some hard things in your life. And I'm like, I'm not happy to spite the hardness. I am choosing to be hopeful and healthy and happy every day. That doesn't mean there's not hardness. It means in spite of the hardness, we still get to choose how we show up and then we look for those situations. So I love that very much. What do
May
you
I share with you, Annie?
Sure.
So I call it a day of grieving. As whenever something hard happen, I'll allow myself to, okay, feel it what happened, and acknowledge that it has happened and there were other things. But remember, whoever did it, whatever happened, it has no personal reflection in this case on me.
Yeah.
I am capable of taking it and rising it again. So give yourself that 6 hours, 24 hours, but then get back up and see what other hopeful things in life have for you. Life is a beautiful thing, and we cannot just disregard it.
That's right. That's right. This tends to be a hard week in my life. It's the anniversary of my brother's death and his life, his born day and his passing day. But then I think exactly what you said. Like I look at it and I think, okay, that is really sad, but I have today. So what will I do with the gift of today? I don't know if I get tomorrow, but can I be a light? Can I be an encouragement in the world today? So I love what you're
And,
saying.
and think about it, that how many other people in that situation, like your brothers, you can help with yourself.
Yeah. With my story and sharing that hope.
Mhm.
So what do you think the difference is between hope and optimism? Sometimes people think those are the same, they're different. What do you think?
It depends how you take it, because when I was listening to this question, I'm like, hope and optimism is same. But I think some people, just because of the language, it's the English language, correct? Some people think that hope is a wish list and optimism is something which is part of your personality. I think hope is like your vision about where you want to be, and optimism or positivity will lead to it. So you can use it synonymously, or you can treat it differently. And I'll take it both ways. I'm a thought leader, so I can kind of analyze and unpack everything and re-put it and put it back together. But I think hope and optimism are similar to each other. Hope is what your vision is, what your wish is, and then optimism is keep that positivity alive and work towards it.
Yeah. I like that. When you were talking, I ask a lot of people these questions. I love all the different answers and similar answers. I was thinking, never in my life has anyone ever said to me, "You're too hopeful." But a number of times in the last year, people have said, "You are too optimistic. Why are you so optimistic?" I'm like, isn't it better to be overly optimistic than overly pessimistic? But hopeful, yeah. And I think hope is a lot sometimes about the future, that no matter what we're walking through, we still have optimism and hope for a brighter future, for a brighter moment, for healing, for goodness out of people or out of the world or out of our profession, that we won't get overlooked and that we will be recognized for our strengths and gifts. So I like that. I think they're similar and different. So, what sort of doubts slip into your life that steal your hope? Do you ever have a moment that you really have something that doesn't? Some people don't, and some people do, and some people don't allow it. So, tell me about that.
I'm not sure if anyone will say they never had a doubt. Okay, so that's what I was smiling about. Definitely, we all have our doubts, and being a woman, we are raised with a concept that we have to doubt ourselves. And I'm not saying that it is just women who are raised with doubts. It's these doubts. There are men also. There are cultures which will tell young children that you cannot believe in what you are saying. You have to, and it creates the sense of self doubt. So I had a lot of self doubts about myself for many, many, many years, until like last 10 years. I'm not good enough. Despite of all of my academic credentials, I don't know a lot, and that I cannot be at a certain level of leadership. So I always had those doubts. And I put myself purposefully on consciously on a path to self develop. So with all the degrees and all the academic background, and I constantly learn, that helped in kind of mitigating that self doubt. Along with that, I realized the power of support network, and it does not always come from your immediate family or your immediate acquaintances. You have to build and cultivate that in different areas of your life. So if you have a hobby, if you have a passion you are pursuing, if you are volunteering for some organization, these all become your support networks. And that's where I have cultivated that hope. I have overcome those self doubts about myself. And I will tell you one thing: it is a dynamic process. It is a work in. It is an evolutionary work, and we will. I continue to do that. But self doubts are real, and there are ways which can help you in overcoming it.
Awesome. I love that. And you kind of took some of the power in your own hands, or all of it, or a lot of it is, you said, you know what, one thing that will give me a little more confidence is the academic, getting all that education, getting those letters behind your name and in front of your name, and saying, I'm an educator and I'm going to keep, if I'm going to teach other people, I'm going to keep learning. And I love that. I always think excellent people that influence are lifelong learners, right? However we learn, that we continue to do that. So I love that you said we all have self-doubt, and some of us, some days are bigger than other days, but you are taking control of the part you have, your thoughts, your education, whatever it is. So I love that. Did you have something else you wanted to?
Yes, I wanted to say that a lot of time people misunderstand learning and knowledge with degrees or letter behind them. I have done all that, but I don't think knowledge is just, or learning is just associated with getting educational titles or degrees.
That's right.
Uh, becoming better is about get learning as much as possible what is happening in the world, what is in that particular area of work. I'm interested in leadership and mentoring, so I dive deep into it and I learn through different sources and resources, including the research which is available on Google. And this is not a plug, sorry, this is not a plug for Google, but the point here is that learn as much as possible, empower yourself with knowledge and more credible knowledge with references and everything else with references and credentials, research and credentials behind it. And that will help us in improve self-developing ourselves. And that has helped me a lot.
That's right. And be a lifelong learner. It's not about, I tell people that we just had a blog this week is like, listen to things, watch things, listen to, go to conferences, read books, watch videos, do whatever it takes to just keep learning and learning and learning. Franza, I have a question for you. What are you hopeful about the world or your career or your personal life? And it can be three different answers, but what are some things you're right now in this moment? You're like, you know what? No matter what is happening, I am hopeful about these things. What are some things you're hopeful about looking forward?
I am hopeful about the future of this world through young generation. Okay, all of us who have a few decades of life behind us, we have come to a point where we have been doing same old things again and again, and we are in a very uh, unfortunate situation all around the world because of the natural happenings of COVID, although research is still need to be done. But wars, conflicts, violence, and then the microaggressions, the division of each other in the form of what we look, what our gender is, what our different backgrounds are, and language and everything else. With all, if you list these things, they seems very depressing, and they are depressing. These are the real life happenings. But my hope is in the younger generation, because they are very different. They don't see the world the way older generations have been looking at, and they are doing things differently also. We call them different names or labels, but I think the group of younger human beings in the world who are much more universally connected at a human level will make this world a better place, and I sincerely believe in it. What I'm hopeful about my career and my personal life is about world becoming a more peaceful and equitable place for each one of us. Because when we treat each other badly, people are living in a very difficult life economically and otherwise. But that difficulty, those people whom we call poor or less privileged or have less power, it actually impacts the whole environment, the whole energy in the world. And we need to create a better world of positive energy and helping each other. So that is what I am hopeful for. I know a lot of people say I have a very kind of an ambitious vision, but I think this is the vision of each one of us. We just don't spell it out, and I am going to vocally own it. That I
Yeah.
want to. I have a hope for a better world, and it will happen.
Ah, I love that. I love the vision. I believe it. I agree with it. And I really try to avoid the negative words or thoughts because I just think there's so much good in our world and there's so many amazing things happening that if we look and if we spread that, those are the rumors we spread, the good stuff happening. I think it will just multiply and people will want to be more part of it. Before we end our time together, do you have a story about hope, something that you've walked through or watched someone walk through that seemed challenging at the time and turned out beautifully and there's beauty in it today?
I did not realize when this happened that this was happening, but now I can tell you the story of a lady. Her name was Dr. Ruth Pfau, Pfau. Anyone who wants to search her, please search her. She was a German woman who accidentally, because of some form of flight miscommunication, ended up in one of the countries in South Asia, Pakistan. and she visited a lepers where lepers were living. A lot of young generation doesn't know leprosy was the highly stigmatized disease where people are deformed. That woman in her early 20s decided to do something about it. Those lepers were living in the sewerages where the rats were eating their fingers and toes because they are numb. She decided to do something about it. She stayed there for 58 years and changed the life of people who were impacted by leprosy to a point where leprosy is not even known as a stigmatized disease. That is the story of doing something which has not only created hope but changed the lives of the people and changed the perception about the disease in itself. And I want us to remember that if one human being, with the support of a lot of other people, can do this, each one of us is capable of doing it. I want you to remember we have individually that power in us, just like Dr. Ruth Faw.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a beautiful story of taking something that seems overwhelming and darkness and hopeless and turning it around and bringing hope in and saying it can get better, it will get better, and I'll be part of the solution. And that's what I always love to encourage people is what part of the solution can you play? There is beauty in our world. There is struggle in our world, but we can individually, each and every day, make a difference in another person's life and therefore offer hope and offer encouragement. So, Dr. Franza, how about if someone wants to get a hold of you, they've heard you speak today, they're like, hey, I want to read one of your articles. I want to have you come present. What's the best and easiest way for them to get a hold of you?
I am on LinkedIn and I have posted the link also. It's my name, Farzana Chauhan, on LinkedIn. So please connect with me, and that will take you to the websites and other social media links also. I am so honored, Annie, that you asked me to be on your show and talk to listeners about the hope. And I truly believe that what you are doing is generating more hope in the world.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being my guest. Thanks for being here. Please reach out to Franza if you have questions and you want to learn more about what she's doing, the good, important work to give voice and to give hope to our world. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next week on H3 TV, where we spread hope, health, and happiness.
Bye bye.